AITA for moving forward with our divorce after my soon-to-be ex was badly injured in a motorcycle accident? Story 1. My wife and I separated last year. She found someone she liked better and he left his wife for her. Not going to lie. It hurt. We did the legal separation and started on the divorce. She is on my health insurance until the divorce is final. I have met someone new through my sister. We are taking it slow, but she seems to like me. 2 weeks ago, my ex was out with her boyfriend on his motorcycle. They hit a patch of gravel and crashed. Unfortunately, he was knocked unconscious and ended up in the ditch where he drowned. She broke her femur and is in the hospital still. I went by to check on her and she asked me if we could put a hold on the divorce. I said I would think about it. I spoke to my lawyer and she said that it was a bad idea to change the timeline we had established for the dissolution of our marriage. My ex will be getting money from the accident, I imagine. However, her boyfriend's ex-wife and kids will be getting his estate and insurance payout. My mom and dad think that I am being evil to cut her off in her time of need. I'm conflicted. I do not wish this situation on anyone, but she is not really my problem anymore. Our advice. This is a difficult situation, and it's understandable that you're feeling conflicted. It's essential to prioritize your own well-being and future, especially given the circumstances of your separation and the legal process you've already started. Your lawyer's advice to maintain the timeline for the divorce is significant. Changing the timeline could potentially complicate matters legally and emotionally for both you and your ex-wife. While it's compassionate to consider your ex-wife's situation, it's also crucial to recognize that her needs are no longer your primary responsibility, especially considering the circumstances of your separation and her choices thereafter. Ultimately, it's important to make a decision that aligns with your own values, priorities, and long-term well-being. If you decide to move forward with the divorce as planned, it doesn't make you evil, it means you're prioritizing your own needs and future. However, if you feel compelled to extend some support or assistance to your ex-wife during her recovery, you could consider offering limited assistance or resources while still maintaining the boundaries of your separation and legal proceedings. First comment. NTA. Considering your lawyer's response, I'm thinking you'll have to start the whole process over if you stop the divorce and your soon-to-be ex is only asking because of the accident and now she's alone. I would suggest consider what you want going forward. Do you want to take care of the woman that left you for someone else? Do you want to support her knowing she's likely only there because she doesn't have someone else to be with? Have you moved on from her, or are you still in love with her? If you do put a pause on things, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and not because everyone else has made you feel guilty about it. Second comment. Baleti, NTA, no matter what you decide to do. Having said that, I must admit that my first reaction was similar to a lot of folks posting here, e.g. Karma sucks. Oh well, too bad for her, but it sounds like, despite the hurt, you genuinely care ABT or ABTAR as a person, and we all know that life and emotions are more complicated than sometimes we would like them to be. You can be super angry at someone, kinda hate them a little, and yet also worry about them and hurt for them in their grief too. Emotions don't come to us via faucet. There is no tap that we can turn on and turn off. I am very sorry that you are going through all of this. My recommendation is to ignore all of us and also to ignore your parents. Instead, maybe ponder the following. A, your lawyer said it was a bad idea. Why exactly? What are the risks of delaying the divorce? E.g., would you be liable for her bills, debts, even W, the legal separation in place? Would it put your divorce settlement agreement at risk? Would it increase your legal costs? B, how long of a delay is she asking for? Is it just for the purpose of maintaining the medical benefits? If her medical bills exceed your insurance, who assumes that liability? What does she hope to gain from it exactly? C, if you share kids, how does this impact them in your relationship, W, them now and in the future when they are able to look back on the situation? Not that you should screw yourself over financially, if that is what a delay would mean, but it is still a question worth asking if you have kids. Your wife has not proven herself to be a stand-up person. It doesn't mean that you are not a stand-up guy. D, would delaying put your new relationship at risk? If so, how much does that matter to you at this point? Good luck in what is a truly difficult situation. Story 2. AITA for telling my wife I would be leaving if she kept acting baby crazy? My wife and I have 2 kids, 9, 6. After the second one, she said she was done having kids even though we had discussed having 3 prior to marriage. We talked about it for a long time, but I love her, and I agreed to change our plans. She had an IUD, but we still used condoms. She really didn't want to get pregnant. About 4 years ago, we agreed that I would get a vasectomy. It made sense since it was a minor surgery, unlike her getting tubal ligation. It went well, and after I healed up, I went for testing and it worked. If you ever get a vasectomy, please do the follow-up testing. My friend from college thought he was good to go and now he has a kid. So she got her IUD removed, and we stopped using condoms and life was good. Until her sister each had another kid. Then one of her friends had a baby, and my wife went nuts. She wants another baby. She made a mistake and wants me to go get my vasectomy reversed. Or to get my sperm harvested and get IVF. The FK I am getting a needle in my balls or another operation, and we are actually doing great financially right now. Her taking 2 years off from work would be a big hit. I said we could look at adoption or fostering, but that I was not interested in her having another kid. She tried bringing up our agreement from before we got married, but I shut that down immediately. So for the last 4 months, our marriage has been a simmering battle about another kid. She has had her parents over, my parents over, her sisters and their families, all trying to convince me that I should give in. FAK, that noise. I am almost 44. In 12 years, my youngest will be starting their career or their post-secondary education. I can see the finish line now. I did offer all the family members that chimed in a fun option. I agreed to get Tessa sperm harvesting if all the men who agreed with my wife did it as well, even if they had working ball tubes, at their own expense, and that they pool their money and pay for all bills related to IVF and the raising of the third kid. They all say I'm being ridiculous and petty. I reminded them that as a unit they all agreed with my wife when she said she was fine with 2 kids. They wanted to have input then and it was free. I said this decision would require skin in the game. It all came to a head last weekend. My folks had the boys so we could have a nice couple of days to ourselves. Instead, my wife and I got into a screaming match. She said I obviously didn't love her if I wasn't willing to do this. That we are well off enough to afford all the expenses of another kid. Blah, blah, blah. I told her no in no uncertain terms. We had money in the bank for retirement and fun, and that's what it was for. Not for her to get her hormones calmed down. She accused me of caring more about money than her happiness. I reminded her that she was the one who insisted that having a third kid would demolish her career. She started crying and saying I was an asshole for denying her another kid. That it was not that much of a sacrifice. I finally unloaded and said that a divorce would be cheaper for me than another kid. That shocked her into silence. We have barely spoken since. I think I broke her. Our retirement funds are separate. Our house is in both our names and she earns slightly more than I do. If we get divorced, I will get 50/50 custody. I would want it. She would get no alimony and I might get a few dollars in child support. I feel shitty threatening her with divorce. I love her and want to spend the rest of my life with her, but I am sick and tired of having her make our reproductive decisions like my opinion does not matter. Our advice. It sounds like you're dealing with an incredibly challenging situation, and it's understandable that you're feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. It's important to acknowledge the depth of emotion on both sides of this issue. First and foremost, communication is key. While it's clear that you've expressed your stance on the matter firmly, it might be helpful to have a calm, open conversation with your wife when both of you are ready. Try to listen to her perspective without interruption, and encourage her to do the same for you. Understanding each other's feelings and concerns can often lead to a more constructive dialogue. It's also important to address the underlying issues in your relationship. Beyond the disagreement about having another child, it seems there are feelings of resentment and frustration building up. Seeking couples counseling or therapy could provide a safe space to explore these feelings and work towards finding a resolution that satisfies both of you. Threatening divorce is a serious step, and it's natural to feel conflicted about it. Before making any decisions, take some time to reflect on what you truly want for your future and what steps you're willing to take to achieve it. Ultimately, only you can determine what's best for your well-being and happiness. Remember, it's okay to seek support from friends, family, or a professional counselor during this difficult time. Take care of yourself and prioritize your mental and emotional health as you navigate this challenging situation. First comment, NTA. She probably doesn't even want another child. She wants a baby. In a few years, she'll be over it when she's dealing with teenagers. And you are so close to more freedom. It's huge when you can leave the kids and go on date nights at cassette whenever you want. Counseling is a good idea. And why on earth are your families involved? That's insane. If they ever try to discuss it again, I'd demand to talk about their private parts too, since yours are up for discussion. I get it, I do. I wanted a third baby for years. But we had agreed on 2. I had a girl and a boy and my husband was done, so I let it go. Well, now I am glad I did. Travel is easier with 2 kids. Negotiating sports and activities is easier. And now that I have a kid in university, I would like to really share the fact that they do not get cheaper as they get older. Oh hey, no. So I am happy with our choices and I am totally over baby fever now. Also, you always hear people say they want another baby. Have you ever heard anyone say they want another teenager? You also never said how old you are. You want to be dealing with paying for post-secondary and trying to retire? Second comment. After a difficult second pregnancy, my husband and I decided against having another child due to health concerns. Despite my desire for another baby when our daughter turned 6, my husband remained firm, emphasizing the responsibilities we already had. Instead, we focused on enjoying our freedom as our children grew older. Now, with our youngest nearing university, we're considering getting a dog to fill the impending void. Ultimately, not having a third child has been the right decision for us, both emotionally and financially.